think that's one of the last updates that we got from San Diego. Like they did this massive kind of like thank you for your service kind of post, towards the end of the year, where it was for Bennett, for Caruso, for Coloprico, Ali. And once you do that, that's obviously they're moving on.
San Diego Wave. They finished 10th place in 2024. They had a roller coaster of a season. They only had 25 points, 6 wins, 7 draws, 13 losses, and a goal differential of -11. The transfer that happened during the season with San Diego is crazy. In June, they parted ways with their head coach, Casey Stoney. Interim Paul Buckle took over, but only until August, when San Diego named Landon Donovan, yes, the former U.S. soccer superstar, as an interim head coach, a permanent interim. That was named in August. They also lost a lot of players. They lost defender Abby Dahlkemper. She got traded to Bay FC. Forward Alex Morgan announced her retirement. And then in this offseason, in December, president of San Diego Wave, Jill Ellis, she stepped down from her role and moved over to FIFA. And now San Diego has hired former Arsenal coach in Jonas Eidevall as their head coach. He resigned, I guess we're going to say stepped down from Arsenal in October after just 7 matches. And that announcement is...
Oh, bye, Lisa. We loved having you.
Oh, did she
have to be official?
I for sure thought it was mine.
When we think back, Darian, to 2024 San Diego. No,
just 2025.
Oh no, Lisa.
Oh, well, Darian, she was teeing up to you, so let's just stick with that. So when we're thinking back to 2024 for San Diego Wave, I'm going to assume that this was the question that you wanted to ask you. What was maybe some of the most glaring, possibly Captain Obvious type of issues that they had going on the pitch for you that you saw over the last year?
Sadly, I think it's another case of the front office mayhem is bleeding into how the playing side is approached. You can't have from the top, very top down, so much discourse about how bad it is, how sadly, how poorly people are being treated. People are quitting, people are suing. It's wild. Of course, that's going to bleed down into the players. As much as they don't want it to, it fully did. You saw how unhappy players were.
Yeah.
Players leaving. Alex Morgan retiring was a huge hit to women's soccer in general, but imagine being her teammate and seeing everything that she's done for you guys, how much she probably advocated for the players, is stepping away from the game. That's a lot emotionally to handle, to go into work every day knowing that things aren't great. People are wanting to leave. People are unhappy. One of the biggest figures in women's soccer stepping away from the game. You saw how emotional it was for players. I mean, after games, some of them were emotional and upset. You heard Landon Donovan talking about it, that when he first came in to coach them, he didn't realize, they needed a second to process and talk about everything that's going on and how much change has happened and how that's affected how they're able to show up and be professional athletes every day on the field. Yeah. And sadly, in the results that we saw, the style of play, we saw that happen. So many coaching changes, so many different tactics. It's going to affect the way that you show up and how confident you feel going into a game. And San Diego is not a bad team. They have great talent on the pitch. They have great players who are also great people. But sadly, you cannot separate so much of the front office from the playing side. And we just saw that and how poorly they were playing be a result of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's kind of the vibe where it's like if it looked bad and it felt bad, it was probably bad. And we definitely saw that over 2024. Like if it's getting to the point where it was boiling over with body language that we see week in, week out, chances are it wasn't great in 2024 for the Wave. Lisa, welcome back.
Hi, guys. It's good to be back. As
Love that.
Said, my machine was just too overwhelmed with everything that went wrong at San Diego last year. That it
shout out Team Money. Yes, absolutely.
I like that, Team Money. There was a lot that San Diego had to deal with last year, but they have to take steps forward. They absolutely have to, because this is a championship caliber team. Despite being a young team, only 4 seasons into the league, they have to be back on top, and that's the bar that they have set for themselves. When you look at the free agents that they have that they haven't signed yet and some of the players that they've already brought back, it does point to a lot of question marks. One of them being midfielder Danielle Colaprico. She's a free agent,
Yes.
not re-signed yet.
Yeah.
That to me says a lot. If I'm a player looking at that club and that roster, to me, I'm like, why isn't she re-signing there? What's going on? They also have a number of other free agents. They have re-signed goalkeeper Hillary Beale, defender Hannah Lundqvist, and defender Kristen McNabb, but there are a lot of other free agents: Elise Bennett, Kyra Carusa, Danielle Colaprico, Morgan Messner, and Amira Ali. Sandra, is this a question mark that, frankly, they haven't signed Danielle Colaprico back yet?
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that they're not going to. I mean, I think that's one of the last updates that we got from San Diego. Like, they did this massive kind of like thank you for your service kind of post, towards the end of the year, where it was for Bennett, for Carusa, for Colaprico, Ali. And once you do that, that's obviously they're moving on. They're in conversations with either other teams or they have moved on and it's yet to be announced. But once that happens, they're not coming back. It's not that like the Wave are just making an official post like that in the hopes that that's going to tip the negotiating scales in their favor. Like, no, that's done. So if I'm another team, you absolutely want to get in the mix, I think, for Colaprico. I think if we already talked a little about Gotham, but I think maybe they need another midfielder. I think that'd be a good fit. But don't want to get in on a tangent there. But those are the continued question marks that we're talking about for San Diego now into 2025. I think there are little things that maybe you want to point at if you are a Wave fan and you're like grasping at the straws of like what can we hang on to here for 2025. There's a lot of rumors. The rumor mill just continues to churn about Naomi Girma, what's going to happen there. There's a lot of obvious interest around the best player in the world right now in Girma. So there's going to be worry about that, how you can retain her. I think.
Sandra, what was the rumor mill saying? Where's she going? What's happening? Is she leaving?
I mean, there's just like attention from Europe, I think, but there's nothing concrete enough to say that there's like advanced conversations with any specific club at this point in 2025. But now that the new year has officially rung in, who knows? Maybe that will escalate. But I think if you're San Diego and you technically have this player under contract, you're either making a deal for a massive fee, or you're trying to talk to this player and say, we are going to continue to get someone in and build and make sure that San Diego is back to what it was when they drafted her, which was a playoff caliber team and a title winning team. For
Naomi Girma, now that, I mean, yeah, whatever happens with her, of course, we'll let you guys know, but they've signed a new head coach, Jonas Eidevall. And they have a head coach now, which says a lot more than Houston or some of the other clubs out there. But Darian, I mean, what do we know about his style of play, what he can do? I mean, who should he be looking to bring in? What can we expect? I mean, I know it's crystal ball-esque because we don't know how he'll do in NWSL, but what do we know?
For me, I'm thinking, okay, this is a European coach. Yes, he lost the locker room in Arsenal, clearly. But he is decorated. He does have good relationships. And San Diego's a prime market. Who does not want to live in San Diego? I want to live there. It's warm there right now. It's freezing in New York. You can attract really big players. I was actually looking at European free agents, and I'm thinking, well, you need some players that are going to define your style of play, who you can really build this team around. And if you have younger players, this is how you're going to develop them. This is how you're going to train them. So I'm thinking Kira Walsh. Bring in Kira Walsh from Barcelona. That is a player who you can make a very defined style player around, who's possession heavy, who can build with Girma. Two very solid players. You need another striker, maybe a Chloe Kelly. You want another defender. I know we were talking about Kelly Hubley going there potentially. I love that. Same with Klingenberg. What about a Millie Bright? Bring Millie Bright over. These are players that even have such names that will change the way that teams come and approach the way that they're going to play you. So
if Jonas Eidevall can get players like that to San Diego, that would convince Girma to stay, because her
absolutely. I don't think all these players are going to go there.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm dreaming if I really think that. I'm just looking at who I would try to approach if I were him and I had these connections in Europe, specifically in the WSL, who I could try to bring over. You live in San Diego. Things are changing. You can basically start from scratch from this last year. You have Naomi Girma, one of the best players in the field. You have Kaylin Sheridan, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, who can build out with her feet in an incredible way. You can really transform this team and make them into what you want. But you need some high caliber players around those couple of players that you already have to really build and become a very respectable, confident team to go into the NWSL season.
It's a tall task for anyone. Yeah. Jonas Eidevall, he said, hey, I'll take it on. We'll see, because there's still a lot of unsigned free agents at San Diego. There's still a lot of unsigned free agents in the NWSL and players that are potentially looking to leave. We'll see what 2025 brings for San Diego.